Please do be seated. My question for you this morning is, what are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? I am passionate about a number of things. As a priest, I am passionate about God, but there are a few earthly things that I'm passionate about as well. I love music. I love camping. I love having and being part of a family. What are some of the things that you are passionate about? And maybe very briefly, you might want just to share with the person next to you, what are you passionate about? So share with one another. What are you passionate about?
Church. Stands. And family. That's the number one earthly thing.
Nice. Fantastic. Okay. I wonder if anyone wants to share what they are passionate about. What are you passionate about?
I'm passionate about painting. I love
Painting.
watercolour
Fantastic. Thomason, what are you passionate about?
So passionate that I've really come to embrace recently has educating people about neurodiversity.
Neurodiversity education. Fantastic. What are you passionate about?
Music.
Music. Wonderful. And Elizabeth?
My garden.
Garden. Fantastic. We all have passions. Now, when we are passionate about something, it means that we have a strong opinion, especially whether something is right or wrong. So, for example, as a lover of music, I believe that there are rules in music which must be obeyed. Otherwise, the music sounds terrible. When we sing our hymns or our contemporary worship songs in church, or if we're rapping in the shower or headbanging in the car, no, just me? Okay. We are following a set of rules which must be followed so that each of those compositions make sense and they sound how they should be sound. Likewise, as a husband and as a parent, I have pretty strong opinions on what makes a good functioning family and what doesn't. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm a perfect father or that I'm a decent husband. And whether you agree with me or not, if we are passionate about our families, we follow a particular set of rules. Now, our theme that we are thinking about today is that Jesus reveals himself to us. And yet I'm beginning to talk about what we are passionate about. And that's because in our reading from Acts, we meet a man who is very passionate about God. Saul, who later became known as Paul, was a passionate man who loved God. This is what Paul writes about himself to the Philippians. If someone else thinks they have reasons to put their confidence in the flesh, I have more. Circumcised on the 8th day, of the people of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews, in regards to the law, a Pharisee, as for zeal, persecuting the church, as for righteousness based on the law, faultless. Saul was a man who devoted himself to God via a set of rules which needed to be obeyed. His passion depended on the rules. Saul had a strong opinion about what was right and what was wrong. And it was this zeal, this passion, that drove him to persecute the church. Now, at this time, the believers were all Jewish, and none of them were called Christians yet. These were Christ worshippers, and they were part of a Jewish sect called the Way. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And this is where the name, the Way, comes from. Saul was so blindsided by being a Pharisee that all he could see were apostate Jews. They were idolatrous and blasphemous, and they needed to be killed. When someone is that fanatical about something, you can't reason with them. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who is so passionate about something, as passionate as you are? Their view is as strong as yours. It's like me trying to have a conversation with someone who believes that Jimi Hendrix was the greatest guitarist of all time, when we all know that Slash eats Jimi Hendrix for breakfast. There's just no reasoning with someone like me. Now, for those of us who are Christians, if we've ever had a conversation with someone about our faith, there will be people who are genuinely intrigued and interested, and they're open, and they want to know more. They're open to being convinced. But there will be people who, in our lives, and people who we come across, who will not budge in their opinion, whether they be friends or family or people who we just encounter. I've had conversations with agnostics, with atheists, with Muslims, and Jehovah's Witnesses. On Friday, 2 Jehovah's Witnesses came to my front door. They asked me, "Have you ever read the Bible?" I said, "Yes." They asked me whether I liked what I read. I said, "I'm a priest. I like it very much." They said, "Oh, wow. It's not often we come across a priest. It's good to know that you like the Bible." It is always good to know when a priest likes the Bible. They knew that they were not going to convince me to convert. And I've had enough conversations in my time to know that they weren't there to listen to my point of view. They weren't there to listen to the reasons why they should love Jesus as the Son of God, as the second person in the Trinity. So should we never bother speaking about our faith? Should we never engage in difficult conversations with people who stubbornly refuse? No. However difficult, we must always be prepared to give a reason for the hope that we have in Jesus. We should engage in these conversations. I want to offer 2 reasons. Firstly, all of us one day will die. All of us, believers or not, will stand before our Maker and be held accountable. I don't want anyone to be ignorant of the truth. Someone can choose to reject the truth, and God can choose to reject them. But I don't want to be the one who denies anyone that choice. And we're all judged accordingly. That's reason number 1 why we should have difficult conversations. But secondly, it is not us who do the converting. Jesus is the one who reveals himself. Saul was on the road to Damascus, going to go and arrest people to take them back to Jerusalem, where they will be stoned. When a bright light came from heaven, and Jesus reveals himself to him. "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" "Who are you, Lord?" Saul asks. "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting," he replied. Saul was not an ignorant man. He knew the faith. He didn't believe it. He perhaps didn't understand what had just been accomplished on the cross. He hated the way because it threatened his own understanding of the faith. But he knew what the way was. He knew what they were teaching. So when Jesus says, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting," Saul had the information to believe and understand who Jesus was. We all have people in our lives. And indeed, you may be this person who has the information. You or they have been told about Jesus. Maybe you grew up with Jesus in your household. But head knowledge isn't enough for you or for them to say, this is where my faith is. You need Jesus to reveal himself, either to you or to someone you know. Jesus was passionate about Saul. Jesus was as passionate about Saul as Saul was passionate about destroying the church. The irony of God choosing Saul, the Hebrew of Hebrews, to take the gospel and expand the church to encompass the Gentiles, shows just how passionate Jesus was about Saul. And if you're sitting here today, waiting for Jesus to reveal himself to you, then I want to encourage you to pray. Who are you, Lord? And allow Jesus to reveal himself to you. Saul was blinded, and it took a Christian to give Saul his sight back. That was a pretty radical way of getting Saul's attention. Jesus might have something just as powerful for you this morning. It might be a little bit more subtle than that. But I believe that Jesus wants to meet you where you are. When we were praying at 9:30, we gathered some of us to pray for the service and to pray for Walton. And Peter had a sense that God was calling us to follow him. And this might be for you this morning. You've come here not really knowing who God is. And Jesus is saying, follow me. Follow me. Let Jesus meet you where you need to be met. If you are here today and you call yourself a Christian, and you so long for someone that you know to have Jesus reveal himself to, then I want to encourage you. Keep praying for that. Keep having those difficult conversations with them. Don't give up. Let the Holy Spirit in and guide you. Paul was not the first person to have a miraculous conversion. And he wasn't the last person to have a miraculous conversion. Keep going. Jesus wants to reveal